In a cave deep within Spain, scientists uncovered a trail of ancient footprints, not just of humans, but of children. Some were only 6 years old, their tiny steps pressed into soft clay more than 40,000 years ago. Nearby, claw marks gouged into the walls reveal something terrifying. These caves were also home to cave bears, predators that could crush a man in seconds. Why would families risk leading children into such a deadly place? Were they hiding, exploring, or desperate to survive? Each footprint is a whisper from the Paleolithic, a frozen moment where wonder and fear walked side by side. And the mystery of why they entered still haunts us today. 40,000 years ago, the Iberian Peninsula was a land caught between worlds. To the north, ice sheets crept down from the last glacial maximum, locking the landscape in bitter cold. To the south, forests and valleys still clung to life, offering game and shelter. This shifting borderland became home to two human species, Homo sapiens, newly arrived from Africa, and Homo neanderthalensis, who had lived in Europe for hundreds of thousands of years. The caves of Spain, from El Castillo to La Pasiega, preserve not only art and tools but also evidence of daily survival. Stone blades chipped from flint, ochre pigment smeared on rock, and hearths blackened by ancient fires all tell us that these shelters were more than hiding places. They were living rooms, classrooms, and sometimes battlegrounds. Fossilized bones reveal that cave bears also claimed these same dark chambers, forcing humans to risk encounters with predators that outweighed them 10 to 1. The environment was harsh, but it was also rich. Herds of red deer, bison, and ibex roamed the valleys. Lions, the great Panthera spelea, larger than any living big cat, stalked the open plains. Woolly mammoths and rhinoceroses grazed the steppe grasslands beyond. For humans, survival meant more than strength. It demanded cooperation, innovation, and adaptation. Flint blades were hafted onto spears, creating deadly projectiles. Fire was mastered to push back the darkness and cook tough meat. Evidence of ochre use hints at culture, perhaps even ritual, suggesting that survival was not only physical, but also spiritual. In this world, every decision mattered. A single step into the wrong cave could mean an encounter with a predator. Yet humans returned again and again, leaving behind footprints, handprints, and charcoal marks that still whisper across millennia. They did not just live in the Ice Age, they endured it, shaping the destiny of our species. The Iberian caves were more than stone chambers. They were contested spaces, sanctuaries of warmth and danger all at once. Fossil layers show this clearly. The bones of cave bears lie side by side with human hearths. Charcoal flecks, burnt bones, and fire-blackened ceilings reveal that people pushed deep inside, but so did predators. One set of footprints in El Castillo cave, preserved in hardened clay, shows adults guiding children far from the entrance. Archaeologists believe they carried torches, flames flickering in the dark, as the smell of smoke and fear mixed with damp limestone. Why would families risk this? Because outside survival was no easier. The landscape was gripped by the cooling climate of the Upper Paleolithic. Glacial winds whipped across the mammoth steppe, turning open plains into frozen deserts. Game animals, red deer, bison, ibex, migrated in unpredictable patterns. Every hunt was a gamble. At kill sites such as those found in the open valleys, cut marks etched into animal bones tell us how humans butchered meat quickly before scavengers arrived. Lions, hyenas, and dire wolves stalked the edges of hunting grounds, waiting for mistakes. Fossils of partially devoured bison suggest these hunters often lost their prize to stronger jaws. Stone tools from this period, flint blades and spear points, reveal adaptation under pressure. Neanderthals crafted heavy, thrusting spears designed for close combat with prey. In contrast, Homo sapiens refined projectile weapons, hafting lighter points onto shafts that could be thrown. This shift meant distance, and distance meant survival. Archaeological evidence from the Saber-toothed toolkit shows leaf-shaped spearheads of extraordinary craftsmanship, capable of piercing thick hide. With these, hunters could bring down a deer without closing the gap where a lion or bear might strike. But hunting was not only about technology, it was about strategy and cooperation. Fossil evidence from mammoth kill sites like those in Eastern Europe suggests coordinated ambushes. Dozens of bones stacked together hint at entire herds being driven into natural traps, ravines, swamps, or ice patches. Imagine the thunder of hooves, the cracking of frozen ground, and the shouts of hunters echoing across the steppe. Failure meant starvation. Success meant weeks of food, bone for tools, sinew for bindings, and hides for clothing against the cold. Even then, danger was never far. The cave lion, Panthera spelaea, was no ordinary predator. Larger than modern lions, fossils reveal males weighing up to 270 kilograms. Cave art from Chauvet in France depicts them stalking prey in groups, suggesting they hunted in coordinated packs. For humans, this meant that even victory was temporary. A freshly killed deer might draw lions within hours. The evidence is written in bones gnawed by predators after human butchering. To survive, bands of hunters had to move quickly, abandoning what they could not carry. Environmental pressure mounted too. Sediment layers record sudden cold snaps, abrupt climate swings that turned valleys barren within decades. Lakes dried, forests shrank, and animals migrated farther each season. Archaeological sites in southern France and Spain show shifting tool styles, suggesting humans were forced to adapt quickly or perish. Fire became essential, not only for warmth but for cooking marrow from bones, softening hides for clothing, and driving animals during hunts. In some caves, soot deposits climbed the ceilings higher than human reach, evidence that torches were raised to explore, to paint, or to frighten away beasts lurking in the dark. Through these fragments, footprints, cut marks, charcoal, bones, a story emerges. Survival was not guaranteed. Every tool carved, every fire lit, every step into the wilderness carried the weight of risk. Humans were not rulers of the Ice Age. Not yet. They were one species among many, fragile and clever, caught between hunger and fear, standing at the edge of extinction while reaching for a future they could not yet imagine. At a mammoth kill site uncovered in Eastern Europe, archaeologists found the story of one desperate hunt written in bone. Dozens of massive skeletons lay jumbled together in a single layer of earth. Deep-cut marks etched along ribs and leg bones reveal the precision of stone blades. Spears, their flint points still sharp after 25,000 years, were driven between vertebrae, piercing arteries and lungs. These were not accidents. They were the fingerprints of organized hunters pushing their prey into a deadly trap. Imagine the moment. A herd of woolly mammoths, 10-ton giants with curved tusks sweeping the sky, thunder across frozen ground. The air is split by roars and shouts as hunters drive them toward a marsh. The ice beneath begins to crack. Panic surges. One mammoth stumbles, crashing through frozen mud. Another follows. Within minutes, the herd is trapped, churning the earth into a pit of chaos. Hunters surge forward, thrusting spears from the edges, keeping distance from tusks that could crush a man with a single strike. But the danger is not over. Fossils at these sites reveal gnaw marks left by predators who arrived after the kill. Cave lions, hyenas, dire wolves. Their teeth carved the same bones humans had butchered. For the hunters, victory was temporary. They had to carve, strip and flee before the night belonged to others. In this frozen theater of survival, even triumph came with terror. The mammoth hunt was more than a meal. It was a turning point. For Neanderthals, survival relied on close-range combat with thrusting spears, often at terrible cost. Homo sapiens, with their lighter projectiles and cooperative strategies, could strike from a safer distance. Archaeological layers tell the outcome. Mammoth bones more often show the marks of sapiens, tools, than those of Neanderthals. Over time, one species' method ensured survival. The other's methods became a dead end. Here, in the icy mud of a kill site, the truth is written. Survival demanded more than courage. It demanded innovation, cooperation, and speed. Those who adapted endured. Those who did not vanished into the bones of history. The bones left behind in those kill sites tell us more than the story of a single hunt. They mark a turning point in human history. Over the next millennia, the balance shifted. Neanderthals, who had thrived in Europe for hundreds of thousands of years, began to vanish. Genetic studies show their populations dwindled until only fragments of their DNA remained. Fragments we still carry today, in our skin, our immunity, and our blood. Homo sapiens, with their flexible strategies and long-range weapons, spread farther, crossing into colder, harsher lands once thought unlivable. The mammoths, too, would eventually fall. Their bones scatter sites from Spain to Siberia, carved by human hands and cracked by fire. Climate change tightened its grip, shrinking their grassland kingdoms. Fossil evidence shows their ranges retreating north, until only a final population survived on Wrangel Island, isolated in the Arctic, before disappearing forever just 4,000 years ago. Today, only their ivory remains, buried in permafrost pulled from rivers, studied in labs where their DNA whispers of a world once alive with giants. What do these traces tell us? That survival was never guaranteed, that every step forward came at a cost, in blood, in extinction, in adaptation. The soot stains on cave ceilings, the spear points lodged in mammoth ribs, the footprints of children pressed beside those of predators, these are not relics of a forgotten age. They are reminders that our story is written in struggle and resilience. When we look back, we see not just bones and tools, but echoes of choices, to risk the cave, to face the lion, to hunt the mammoth. Each decision, etched in stone and fossil, led here to us. And while the mammoth's thunder has long since faded, its shadow still walks with us, a reminder that survival is never owed. It is earned.